for you guys to see like what our format looks like for an essay that we've read and annotated and done all those things. So every time we look at a sample essay, we will do a chart. And what the chart is this is going to, like, what we want to track here is we want to track like what I call like power moves. So I don't know how much work y'all have done with sample like essays before, but I find them to be really valuable in class because it shows you how other kids are being successful. So what I want to do is I want to show you an example of my former students following our format so that it all looks familiar to you. So when we go through, I want us to note the things that like you see being done in their essays that you're like, okay, I can do that too. Or, okay, they pulled the same piece of evidence I did, but I didn't see it the way that they saw it. So those are things that I want us to look at, and we want to steal as much as we can. If you like the way that they're saying something, steal that language, right? Put it in your chart so that when you write your next essay, you can pull out your chart and like know how to kind of move into analysis, all right? So the ones that you have tonight that you're going to do, I have them lettered A through D, but right now I didn't letter this one. So this is just going to be Sample Smith. And this one that we picked up, I've already scored it for you. The ones tonight will not have a score. You're going to have to figure out the score tonight. So I've already scored this one for you. Okay, so I'm going to go down below, and it's going to be a 1, 4, and I did give it a half point. And remember, I give half points because it helps you in the grade book. We don't give those in the summer. You either get the point or you don't, right? You either get to that point or you don't. So the things that we're going to look at, first we're going to look at the introduction, which we haven't talked about introductions at all because that's the least of my worries for y'all right now. When we do our first timed writing, I'll tell you kind of how we're going to move through and what to expect. But when we're looking at introductions now, like I want you to see what are kids doing in introductions that you can easily do, all right? Then we're going to look at the body paragraphs, and we're going to look at like how are they organized? Is there a clear claim? I need to change assertion to claim. And then do they have 3D evidence? Is it embedded well? Do they analyze the language? So all those things we're going to work through, and I just want to show you like what my scoring looks like on a live paper. All right. So this is really small. All right, so let's jump in. As a nation, the United States has been a beacon of hope for women's opportunity in social and economic areas. Notable woman politician Madeleine Albright congratulates the graduating class of the Women's University from Mount Holyoke College. By exemplifying the vital role women play in history and ensuring that women's strength will continue a women's legacy, Albright argues that the graduates' perseverance will allow them to make a difference. Albright does this by using comparisons, lists, and quotes. All right, so let's go sentence by sentence. First of all, how many sentences are there?
3.
Count. There are 4 sentences, right? Okay, so in their 4 sentences, I'm going to jot down, there's 4 sentences. We have obviously 2, which are the thesis, right? Because those come from me. So that follows our format. So if here is our thesis, and y'all can mark on your papers because these are going to be like your kind of like your yellow pages. These 2 right here, this is your thesis. Right? Notice all the pieces and parts. The vital role women play in history. There's claim 1. And ensuring that women's strength will continue women's legacy. There's claim 2. Albright argues that the graduates' perseverance. There is the understand. What does she want them to do to make a difference? So we have the 2 claims, the understand and the do. And then we have the extension sentence, and it has 1, 2, 3. I'm all right with 3. My question is going to be, where is the 4th? Probably what it was, like many of y'all, is like it's just one more of those, right? Like they identified 2 lists or identified 2 quotes, right? Whatever it is. So, but they have the extension sentence. So this kid, for me, gets the thesis point because they have all the pieces and parts. So those of us that didn't get the thesis point for green, you'll see you may have the 2 claims and you may have the do, you don't have the understand. I didn't give you the thesis point. In the summer, will you get it? Yes. But I want to make sure that we have all the pieces and parts now. So I'm going to start docking you points until you do it my way, right? It's an easy fix. You just add that in, you get that point back. Okay, so easy fix. All right, so let's look at the other 2 sentences. So if we have 4 sentences and 2 are the thesis, talk to your partner. What does that first sentence do? Take it as in me, the reader. You're the grader, the scorer of this paper. Reading that first sentence, what does that show you about that writer that's writing this paper? Talk to your partner. What does that do?
Isn't it we're not supposed to do that now because you have to read it anyway because it's done from the analysis? But this feels like it feels like a second less well put together thesis. I feel like it should be a there because
All right.
And then the second one's summary. So.
Here we go. What does that first sentence do for me?
Not much.
Not true.
Oh.
Close. What?
Is it?
Do what?
Like how better than.
What does it do for me, the reader of this paper? What does it help me to understand about this writer? Lauren, you were close in saying the context, but what does it do for me? What does it show me, the reader, about them?
It's going to be talking about women's opportunity.
Well, I mean, that's what the essay is about.
Yeah.
That's what the passage is about. That doesn't do anything for me.
That they know what they're talking about?
Okay, how?
They have background information?
Background information on what? Yeah, I mean, if we're looking at I already know that it's about women's opportunity because I've already read the essay, right? The second sentence in here, this right here, right? So the second sentence is what we call kind of like a tag, which is like title, author. Have y'all used this before? Author, genre. So basically it's the who, the what, and the where, right? That doesn't do anything besides tell me that you read the prompt. But the first sentence is historical context. And what else does that show me about the rhetorical situation?
Exigence, a little bit.
Yeah. So we've talked about, and I think exigence has been the hard one for us so far, right? And I haven't really kind of worried about it to this point because exigence for Bush was easy. What caused him to speak? Well, duh, right? The attacks. But we look at this and go, what is her exigence? It has to be more than just she was invited to speak. We have to say, why this message at this time to this audience? This shows me that the kid understands the historical context and the exigence of her message. Because it is more than she got invited. The speech is so valuable. She's giving this speech at this time to this audience because we're at a time in history where we are on the forefront of women making moves in social norms and society, right? So when I go in and I read that one sentence simply shows me this kid understands the larger context besides just her being at this college, right? So I'm going to jot down one sentence connects the context to exigence. And listen, for me right now, it's the last thing I care about for y'all. Like, it's literally the last thing that I care about. But when we get further into where y'all are writing essays, notice it's 4 sentences, get in and get out, right? Context to the situation, the who, the what, the where, and then your thesis. That's it, get in, get out, there's no more, right? Get to the point. So like that for me shows me that it's going to be like, it could be a higher paper. I'm hoping that this kid gives me what they're promising me. All right. The thesis also creates a line of reasoning. Remember we said like on our thesis when we were looking at the rubric, it said that your thesis could create a line of reasoning. Ours does. So now what I'm hoping is that this kid follows this line of reasoning. In the first half, Albright claims that women played a vital role in history. Okay. There's our claim. It follows the line of reasoning created, and it is not factual. Meaning, I can't go and point to one thing in the text and go, that's where she said that. And that's what I'm tending to see a little bit in green claims. I need to look at what's the big idea. So to prove that, I have to go and point at 3 or 4 things that go, these 3 or 4 things mean that. All right. While addressing the graduate, she emphasizes, I'm going to mark through the things that I don't like, and you'll see me do that on your papers too, right? Now remember, when I'm marking things I don't like, it doesn't mean that I'm marking you down. I'm just showing you, y'all will figure out about me, y'all probably have already, that I have like my like pet peeves that I don't like, right? So you'll find I'm not counting you down. I just want to show you how many times you do those things, okay? So hopefully I can shame you into changing them eventually. All right. All right. She emphasizes the idea that they are capable of making change and must choose whether to turn inward and betray the lessons of history or to seize the opportunity before us to shape history. All right. So what did they do well there? Yep. They embedded with context. And I know that's something that we're still working on. But like when you made attempts at it in the green, like I was good with it. I'm going to go through and I'm going to highlight bits and pieces, okay? Because this is what I'm going to have you guys do. So I'm going to highlight just the evidence here. And I'll show you why here in a minute. And actually, yeah. Okay. Albright compares, so now there's the label. The precedence of women in history seizing opportunity to the actions of many young women today who turn inward to illuminate the idea. So this is like what the language is, and this is why it's important. To illuminate the idea that change can only occur through women acting like they used to and standing up for themselves. Okay, that's what I call that is analyzing the purpose of the language, of the comparison. So that for me, there's no summary or anything in there. This is all analysis. I'm also going to say that the claim is analysis as well, because it's their own words, their own opinions. For example, women played a vital role in standing up against nuclear weapons and are continuing to work to reduce nuclear arsenals further, eliminate chemical weapons and the child-maiming scourge of landmines, and ratify a treaty that would ban nuclear explosions forever. Okay, so there's our second evidence. Albright lists, there's our label, the many goals that she is currently working towards on the Senate to make the audience, marking out the audience, understand that women like her are working and honoring the legacy of women in history. Okay, so this is going back, this connects their language, connects the evidence to their claim. Now that they are able to do more, like be a senator, she wants to push the audience to do the same as her and honor the legacy of women in history left. Okay, so then that's another part of analysis. Now, the thing that I'm looking past is this idea of being a senator, because she's not a senator, right? She's the Secretary of State. But it's something that I like scored as a draft, and I'm like, okay, I need you to make sure that you understand that she's Secretary of State, not a senator. Not that they can't be a senator, but I look past that. So then all of this at the end I would say is analysis. And how you can tell that I'm on board is that you see my checks going along. If there is a dash in there, that means it's either summary. Sometimes I marked summaries with a dash, or I marked some like SUMM on it on your papers that y'all get back Wednesday. Sometimes it just says nothing. Like you're just telling me things, but it doesn't mean anything. There's no connection. So when you see checks, that means I'm with you all the way. So look at that. The other stuff in there, this is just like context. And then this part is context. The parts that aren't highlighted, right? Those two pieces are context. So if I'm looking at this essay and this first paragraph, and I am looking between a 3 and a 4 in row B, which way am I leaning? Why? Look at the language of the rubric. Which way am I leaning? The difference between a 3 and a 4 is what? The commentary down here, right, is what is different. So, did they, to keep it a 3 or a 4, did they uniformly offer evidence to support claims? Context, evidence, context, evidence. They did that, right? Did they focus on the important words and specific details from the passage? Yeah. I mean, in the most part, it's 2.5 lines, 2.5 lines, right? I'm not getting like 6, 7, 8 lines of text, right? Okay. They did that. Organize and support an argument in a line of reasoning. Line of reasoning is created in the claim. Line of reasoning is created in like the labels that we had. They followed that. Yes. So the difference is the two. Commentary may fail to integrate some evidence. Did it fail to integrate it, meaning like connecting it to the claim or connecting it to analysis? Not at this point, not those two. Did it fail to support a key claim? Well, it didn't support this claim, or it did support this claim. We have to see about the second one. So for right now, if I was only scoring this body paragraph, this would be a 4. Because it proves the argument. There's explicit analysis of language. It is a little insightful, not anything outrageous. But the other thing that I want you to notice is that they got in and got out, right? They got in, they analyzed the piece, they got out, they moved on to the next piece. That's going to be the balance that we need to find is when you feel like you have analyzed the piece of language enough to say, like, I've analyzed it, it's time to move on, right? So that you can get further in your essay, and that's a balance that we're going to have to fix. Okay, so take a minute with your partner, use the language of the rubric, and tell me, like, jot down the things, the power moves that this student made in body paragraph 1. What are the power moves? What got this kid to have the 4 for that body paragraph? You got like 3 minutes, ready, set, go. Yes.
Clearly stated. concise.
Yeah.
After they use the
Used to label to support claim.
There was an example. Oh, wait, no, that's
All right, so what are some of the power moves that y'all are jotting down?
there was a good embed.
Okay, so clear, embedding with context. Okay, what else? So it analyzes the language and the value of the lists, and then we also had comparisons in there, right? Those are switched. Follows the line of reasoning like established in their thesis and claim.
Connects context to claim.
Yeah? And I would say let's kind of start scoring it at the end. So at this one, I would say it's a solid 4. Like it's a middle of the road 4 at this point in the essay. Like there's no fluff. All right, let's look at claim 2. So what you see here, and this is what I'll do when we do our first timed writing, you see that they skip space and then they have a squiggly mark. When we start working on timing, because that's what you're going to struggle with, I have timers set up for each like portion of the essay, right? Here's the amount of time you need to read and annotate and plan. At the end of that time, stop whatever you're doing. Now here's your amount of time to do your introduction. Now stop at that time, move forward. So I'm going to force you to move forward. So what this shows me is that this kid still had more to write here, but I was like, time to move out of your first body paragraph, move into your second, right? So that just shows me that they had more to write, right? And I'll show you that and do that with you when we get to that point. In the second half, okay, Albright claims that the up-and-coming generation of women are more than capable of continuing the legacy of creating change. All right, so there's a claim. It's not factual. It follows the line of reasoning. Albright touches on the fact, I hate that, you're going to see me write this, like colloquialism. Colloquialisms are like informal language, like paints a picture, sheds light on, touches on the fact, right? Those are all things that you'll see, again, that I'll just write colloquialism, and I don't like them. I need us to use more specific language. That they will not succeed without setbacks, and turn to Robert Kennedy to support that idea. Robert Kennedy said, if there's nobody in your way, it's because you're not going anywhere. All right, so here's our evidence. So first we have, wait, wrong color. Here's our evidence. We have our claim, which we're going to mark as like our analysis because it's the student's own voice, own words. Albright uses a quote. Okay, there's our label from a male politician. That's interesting. That's going to kind of pique my interest. So now, when this kid is not just looking at the quote, but they point out that it's from a male politician, I go, okay, I'm hoping that the kid analyzes not only the quote, but the value of the quote coming from a male politician, right? Albright uses a quote from a male politician to prove that today's women are amongst an era where they have enough respect and equality as men. Okay, that's connecting back to that value. Albright wants the graduates to realize that there is no longer a divide between men and women, which will allow them to do so much. Though the person in the way may be more of an issue for women, Albright wants the scholars to know it's only a part of reaching success. All right. In the closing of Albright's speech, she instills the idea that every graduate already has what it takes to make a difference, and that every life enriched by your giving, every friend touched by your affection, every soul inspired by your passion, and every barrier to justice brought down by your determination will enable your own life. Albright describes the women as giving, affectionate, passionate, and determined in that order to mirror, I like that language, the evolution of women's role in history, transition from being valued only for their affection to being respected for their determination. That is like analysis of the list. It's directly connected to, like, connects to the rhetorical situation, and it connects to the first sentence of the intro. That, for me, is really insightful, right? So, if I go back and I look at, here's my other piece of evidence here. That line's a little bit longer, but I'm okay with it because she needed all of it, right? Here's the analysis for that. Before all of this, you can see from my markings that there was no like dashes or summary. So if we're looking at just color, and what I'm going to have you do on Wednesday is I'm going to have you mark and label color, right? I'm going to also have you highlight summary where you find it. Majority of this paper is what? Analysis. Yep. Pink is my analysis. So a majority of this paper is analysis, right? All this is context here. I mean, that to me, and I would probably highlight this in pink up there, that first sentence of the introduction as like insight. So, jot down for body paragraph number 2, what are power moves that that student did in body paragraph 2 that we can mimic that you like. Do that real quick, body paragraph number 2 comments. All right, what are things that you like in the second body paragraph? Do what? What do you mean?
Like they use the male audience.
Okay, so the idea that it's insightful that we didn't just analyze the quote, so the connection, like the value of not only like the quote, but who said the quote. Okay? Like that for me is a step further, right? What else do we like? Yep. And I mean, I think it connects to the bigger picture, right? So it connects to the bigger, like, context of the rhetorical situation, beyond just right then, right? Which to me shows an understanding of not only the passage, but the value of that passage within the context of history. Like, it followed the same format or the same organization as body paragraph number 1. And how does that help me, the reader? Yeah, I mean, I know what to look for. This kid gave me a structure in their thesis, followed the structure in the first body paragraph, embedded evidence analysis. So when I see that in the first body paragraph as a reader, I go, I'm hoping I see that in the second, and it isn't always the case. But then I continue and I still see it. That, if you see me doing this in your essay, like, yep. It's quick. I'm going through your essay quick. What you'll see when I give you back yours is, huh? What? If I'm having to stop and go, wait, what? What? Huh? What does that mean? Then I'm not scoring you down. I'm just stuck in a 2 or 3 zone. If I'm keeping going, what? What does this mean? What? Huh? What? Then I'm not making those connections. The other thing that you see in here is that it's clear, concise analysis. They get in and get out. And again, that's going to be something that we have to kind of balance over these next, like, probably 4 to 5 weeks that we're going to be doing this, is like, when are we done with analysis? When have we done enough to get that point, to score that evidence, to move forward to the next piece of evidence? There's no conclusion, which we're okay with. For now, I'll tell you why. We need conclusions in argument and synthesis, but for rhetorical analysis, I really don't care. All right, so